Okay, y'all, we're back, and I'm just doing some last minute little details here with a smaller brush. Make sure y'all can see. Yeah. Alright, something else really important is when you're done with the frisket, wash your brushes out really good. Use soap and hot water. Dawn is a really great soap for cleaning your brushes. It's cheaper than most artsy soap and does the same thing, works just as well. Also, frisket, you want to let it dry naturally. You don't want to get the hairdryer out. This is just one of those things you're going to have to be patient on. Because it's kind of like rubber, getting out the hairdryer tends to just muck it up. Alright, almost done. Get the ear in there. Nice and careful. While you're waiting for the frisket to dry, what you can either do is, maybe work on another piece, or decide what colors you're going to use, get your other supplies ready, read a book, talk to people online, check out one of my other videos. Alrighty, and I think we're done to let it sit there and dry. Fun. Alright, when I will see you when it gets back. Bye! Hey! Well, the stuff is finally dried, so now we're ready to do our background. I like using styrofoam plates to put my watercolor or acrylic ink in there. Some of the other things you're going to want to have, again, nice big brush. Some small brushes so you can add in some details. I have a couple small different ones. Also, water spritzer like this one, or a really tiny one. I've got a couple here. Also good to have is some sea salt. I like using it in the grinder because you can get big and small pieces instead of just using table salt. It does some really nifty designs. So we're going to start with, I think we're going to try some green. So I'm going to take just a wee bit. Now a little bit goes a long way with the acrylic ink. You can use it like a watercolor, or you can use it more like acrylics. So just use a little bit. And then we can add some water to it. And there's a couple of different ways you could do this. You could paint directly onto the paper, or you can wet it first. I have found with the acrylic ink is if you put it on the paper first without wetting it, it kind of stays. Unlike watercolor, which you can kind of lift off. So I'm going to moisten the paper a little bit. Just up there. And then I'm going to take a slightly smaller brush and then add in some of the green here. This is sap green. Darker colors do come forward, so do warm colors. This green is kind of warm, so I'm going to use it really lightly. I'm not going to make it too dark. Faded colors have a tendency to recede for the eye, so you don't want to add too much and have your viewer end up looking just at the background instead of at the main subject matter. And we're just going to flow it in there. As you can see, I'm being kind of messy, but that's what the frisket is for, so that you can be really artsy with it. Now this is the part about watercolors that some people really like and some people really hate. When you're doing this kind of technique, you don't want to use the hairdryer. You're just going to have to wait for it to dry. Now what you can do is you can just let it dry, or you can try to add a little bit more color. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little bit more paint onto my palette here. I love this color. It's really pretty. Hope you can see it. It's kind of emerald green. And I'm just going to dab my brush here and there. Get some nice texture. And that's why I want to have the paper wet. Causes these nice little designs in there. Don't want to go overboard. But this is one of those really cool things you can do with the watercolor technique. You can also get a toothbrush and splatter it. Or if you have a really nice soggy brush, you can just kind of fling it I don't want to get paint all over my nice new carpet, so I'm not going to do that. But I am... Hi, we're back. This is about as close up as I can get the camera to go. Unfortunately, it's not really meant for up close and personal type pictures. But as you can see, it is now dry. So I'm going to set this down, and I'll try to make a scan of this later so you can see what the details look like a little bit better. I'll see if I can scoot in a little bit more. I don't think it's going to let me. Sorry, folks. We're just going to have to pull back and refocus there. Alright, but now I'm going to fix the camera and be right back. Okay, now we are ready to add the second layer. Make sure your paper is nice and dry. And just like before, we're going to wet the paper down. This is why I like using the acrylic inks instead of watercolor, because if you tried this with the watercolor, you'd end up picking up the paint that's already on the paper, and it would lose all those really nifty designs and feathering. You can do it a little bit with traditional watercolors, but you have to be really, really careful. This time I'm going to take a different color other than just the green. I think we're going to... Alright, we've got the paper wet, and I found my blue. It's a nice dark blue, so it'll match nicely with this green we have going on already. And I'm just going to dab a little bit here and dab a little bit there. As you can see, nice blue. You can also mix the colors, just like real paint and watercolor, and sometimes that's good to do. Sometimes you don't want to have it straight out of the bottle. Dot, dot, dot here, dot there, dot it here. Oh, my water didn't get far enough, so I'm going to add a little bit more to this area here. Watercolor you want to work fast with, because the water does dry fairly fast, and depending upon the humidity of your area, excuse me, could dry faster than you expect. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more here. And there we go. You get the idea. Just have fun with it. Add a little bit here, add a little there. It's another one of those good times to grab an old toothbrush. I have one. If I can find it. Here we go. You can just wet it down a little bit. Scrub it into the paint. And then just kind of splatter it. Another thing you don't want to do while wearing good shirts or endangering carpet. And again, you just let it dry. I think this time I am going to add the salt to help add some more texture to what we've got going on. And as you can see, I've got it collected in here. Can you see that? Okay. And I'm just going to sprinkle it in my hand. And this is why I like the sea salt. It's not all one size, not all just type granulars, and you just sprinkle it here and there. And after it's dried, you just wipe it off. You don't want to paint around it. You have to get it off the paper. You can try to reuse it if you want, but the paint might stick to it and cause problems later on to further paint, so it's probably just best to throw it away. And there we go. And now we're just going to wait and let it dry. See you soon!